If you or someone you know is dealing with a mental illness and needs some resources or help, I will make sure to link in the description some resources that they can use, especially right now with everything going on with COVID-19 and just how crazy the world has been in the last few weeks. I can understand having to deal with all of that being depressing and anxiety inducing. So I'll put the links in the description below. Okay, so let me preface this by saying I recorded this whole video, 10-15 minute video, and there was no sound. So let's try this again. What's up, YouTube? How you feeling? How you living? What's good? It's your girl Francine, and today is Saturday. It means to say that Saturday, so we say we need to say and get it all out. Today's video is about my personal experience with my own mental illness. I didn't want to really make this video. I stated it in a video and then I was like, ooh, I should not have said that because I don't really want to make this video for two reasons. Number one, I am not great at talking about my feelings. I have been in therapy for a while and I'm getting better at it, but it mainly makes me uncomfortable, so I'm going to be a little uncomfortable in this video. And number two, because I had this idea that, you know, what if a future professional sees this and they want to hire me, or, you know, what if one of my clients sees this and they're like, oh, I don't know if I want you to be my attorney. And then I had to realize that all week, last week, and for the rest of this month, I'm going to be talking about breaking the stigma of mental illness, and then I'm going to sit here and stigmatize myself. So I feel like maybe I should just let go of those apprehensions and do it. And so that is today's video. So let's get into it. Okay, so I've been kind of dealing with some form of mental illness, symptoms from mental illness since I was younger. Unfortunately, you know, growing up, getting teased and made fun of and bullied and all that great stuff doesn't make for a really great mentality for going to school and being around people. And so I developed social anxiety fairly early in life, and I was a lot harder to talk to people than I am now. I've gotten better, but I used to be so scared to talk to new people and meet new people, which is always interesting because people always say, Francine, you seem like you're so articulate, like you always seem like you're so friendly and talking to people, and it's not easy to pretend like I am, because I'm not. I have really bad social anxiety, and I'll talk about later, it got worse over time. But as I kind of grew up, I started to kind of understand people and understand, you know, better positive thinking about being around people. But when I was younger, I would literally have like mini panic attacks before going to school because I was scared of what would happen and how I was gonna get teased and who was gonna make fun of me and all this other stuff. And so that kind of made my brain, like I said yesterday, anxiety and depression kind of go together. It made me kind of become depressed because I was always thinking that everyone didn't like me, like I was weird and like different. And so my self-worth kind of went down, and that kind of led to depression as I got mostly into my teenage years. And with age comes more responsibility, comes more life coming at you, and that kind of made it worse. When I went to college, you know, when you go to college, you kind of want to have fun, you want to have a good time, but when you have something like social anxiety, you're like, how do I meet people and be like a normal person around people? And unfortunately, my solution to that was alcohol, which I'm not going to go into a really in-depth deep dive into my issues with that, because I feel like that definitely would be stigmatized and I don't want to put myself in that position. But just to say, when I got to college, you know, I had to deal with being around new people, being in school, being away from my family, and, you know, started dating and getting in not so great relationships and dealing with that, and that affecting my self-worth and my self-esteem over time. And so as I got older and as time progressed, both of those issues got worse. And so when I got into law school, I think on top of being so far away from home, being in a place I've never been in before, being around people that I've never been around before, and kind of just being like thrown into it on my own, which I did on purpose. It kind of affected my self-esteem and my depression and my anxiety, on top of the fact that, you know, when you're the smart one and you're supposed to be smart and you're supposed to be, you know, the one who's always good at stuff, when you get to a higher level of education, you're no longer that smart. Like, everybody here is smart. So what else you got? So that kind of affected my, you know, mental health as well. And in all those things, kind of the symptoms I was dealing with at that time, I wasn't sleeping. I would literally get maybe 2-3 hours of sleep at the most, and maybe even less than that. There's been times that I've gone days without going to sleep. I wasn't really eating much. I wasn't really having a great attitude or personality. I was really irritable, I'll say that. My anxiety was really high because I was always worried about class and worried about if I was gonna pass and worried about, you know, issues with that. And then on top of that, I was dealing with, again, relationship issues, dealing with my own self-worth issues, dealing with my problems with who I was. And then when you get into your early 20s, like, you know, you try and figure out who you are. And that was like hard for me, because I spent a lot of my life kind of being a person that I thought everybody else wanted me to be. And then I was like, I don't really know who I am or what I want to do. So, and that was really awakening, because it was like, I'm spending all this time, money, and energy in school. I don't really know if this is what I want to do. Or, you know, spending all this time and energy doing these things that, like, is this really what I want? And that was really one of the biggest issues that was drawing on my mental health, because it was like, what is the point? Like, I don't really know what my purpose is. I don't know what I'm here for. Like, I don't know. And so that just made my depression even worse. On top of the fact, like I said, unfortunately, using vices in order to deal with that issues and not addressing the issues that were there. And so, unfortunately, due to a series of very unfortunate events that I'm not going to go into in this video, I ended up saying, you know what? I have a problem. I need to go get some therapy. And so I went to therapy for the first time when I was in law school. I think, like a lot of things, especially like with drinking or drugs, and even with mental illness, I think a lot of times when a person is dealing with depression and anxiety, they think, oh, I can handle this on my own. I don't need to do nothing. But the first step, like everything else, is admitting you have a problem and you need help. And that is, unfortunately, it took me having to go through a lot of bad things, but I decided that I needed to get help, because it was like, girl, stop. And so when I was in law school, I did get therapy. Thankfully, it was free with my school. But unfortunately, I, like many other people, was like, oh, I'm doing better. Let me stop going to therapy. A good analogy for this is when you get antibiotics and they tell you take this for 2 weeks and don't stop even if you feel like you're getting better. That is how I would say therapy is. Don't stop even if you feel like you're getting better, because sometimes you still need it. And I realized very fast that I still needed it. But by that time I had finished law school, I'd moved to Atlanta, I'd moved to another new place. I was with family, but I also, again, like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I didn't address those problems when I was in law school, and now I'm here and I'm like, I gotta be an adult. And that, of course, was causing me problems with, again, depression and anxiety. Like, I was taking the bar and, you know, having issues with that. And so, again, I kind of had to get to a point where I got kind of a rock bottom moment where I was like, you know what? I should probably go back to therapy. Yeah, I should maybe go back to therapy. And so I went back to therapy. I tried multiple therapists. This is one thing that I think is a good piece of advice. Every therapist is not for everybody. And it does not mean they're a bad therapist, but it also means they're not the right therapist for you. And so I had a couple therapists that weren't great for me. And that's no shade to them. They were perfectly great therapists. They just weren't the right people for me. And in February of last year, I did find a really good therapist here who's been great for me. And honestly, I don't know if it's maybe because I'm mature or because I found a really good therapist for me or what, but I think now I'm in such a better place. Like, if me, like 2 years ago, tried to make this YouTube channel, I would have fell off like a week ago. Cause like, I would have either just been like, forget it, I don't care. Like, life is, who cares? Life sucks, like whatever. But now that I'm in a good therapy with a good therapist, I'm a lot more mature. I've been through a lot more stuff. I have kind of found that it's really helping. And that's why when I talk on here and I'm like, if you feel like you need to get some help, if you want to talk to somebody, hit those resources I have in the description. They're really helpful because admitting that you have to get help is really hard for a lot of people. I'm a very stubborn person. I'm gonna be really honest. I'm really stubborn. So my stubborn self, I was like, no, I can fix it. I can handle it on my own. I can just, I can do. Nah, you probably should go. At least try therapy. There's nothing wrong with trying. And the idea that therapy is just for crazy people or people who have like severe problems is not true. Like mild to moderate symptoms still can be a stressor on your life. And it was for me. I mean, I didn't have severe symptoms, but it definitely was a big stressor on my life and was causing me a lot of problems. Okay. So my best advice is to hit some of the links in the description, or maybe look into if you have health insurance, blessings, look into some of your providers for your health insurance, get some help, just do maybe even a consultation, see if you like it. But with that being said, I'm going to go. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you yourself have any stories that you want to share about your own issues with mental illness through your life, you put that in the comments. Any comments, questions, or concerns, hit those in the comments as well. And with that being said, I will see you on Sunday for the news, which honestly has been very triggering for my depression. To be honest, this week has been a lot. Okay, it's been a lot. So tomorrow's news may be a little somber, and I apologize, but yeah, it's a lot. So with that being said, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.